Today is my last day at Desert Solace. I feel clean. I feel hopeful. My wife and my kids they're here. And I get to go home with them this time. I get to be the Tom that I always wish that I could be. I get to be the husband, the father that I always wish I could be for them. When I was 13 or 14, I found a pornographic magazine. I looked through that, and at first it did scare me. I'd never seen anything like that. I felt fear. I felt also a lot of excitement. And then I started searching for more things. I found videos. Every second that my family was gone, I was straight to the TV searching channels until they got back. There was this adrenaline rush. It was like racing a car. That feeling you get when you go on a roller coaster and you drop off, just that excitement, and you can have it as many times as you want. It was like a drug for me. I could go there to the porn and feel better about myself. If I had a rough day, if I had something happen during the day that was disturbing to me, or I got in an argument at school, or my friends were treating me poorly, I would go back there. And after I'd watch pornography and masturbate, I would just feel this complete drop in emotions. I'd feel terrible. I felt guilt, shame. I would get depressed, and the only thing that would help with that is to go back and do it again. And so I got in this terrible cycle of going back, getting depressed, going back to it, getting depressed, and I lived my life like that. But at the same time, I'm supposed to be this good church-going boy. I honestly believe that God hated me, and then everything bad that happened after that to me, I felt like was a punishment from him. It wasn't just life circumstances anymore, it was a punishment. I would pray constantly, well, every night and every morning, and I would just plead for help to stop this thing that I knew was wrong. I felt like I didn't get any answers from him, like he wasn't there. I worked up on my grandfather's farm for a couple summers, but I remember a specific experience where I was out with my grandfather. We were working, and I was taking a break or something, and my grandfather said, "Tom, you're not worth shit." And I lost it. I didn't even say anything to him. I'm not that kind of person to get mad or upset verbally or with someone. But when he said that, it cut very deep. I felt like I wasn't even a man anymore. Here I am on a farm, working, fixing fence, moving pipe, and now he just took away my masculinity. I've carried that wound around with me and added to it with everything else that other people say, or what I even think they're thinking. And at times I'd feel that hope and joy about, okay, it's been a week, it's been a week. And then I went back. And every single time I promised myself that I would never go back. And after doing that for 15 years now, I got to the point where I couldn't promise myself that anymore. I was able to come clean for about 3 or 4 months before I got married, and we were able to have this religious church ceremony for our marriage, and it was wonderful. After we got married, for about a year, things were going well, but then I started keeping secrets again, and it started with the small things. I started feeling terrible about my secrets, so I'd view porn to cover up that pain, and I started keeping that from her. Eventually I told her, and that was really difficult for her. She was very discouraged, and I became even more discouraged. I already felt terrible about myself, and now my wife is feeling terrible about herself, about me, about our marriage, what's going to happen in our future. Are we going to have a future? I doubted my ability to be the kind of father that could bring up children in a good, righteous way for them to feel good about themselves, because I didn't feel good about myself. We had our son, and it was amazing to hold that little baby in my arms. But it was not long before that things had gotten really out of hand with the pornography. I felt this confrontation inside of me because I wanted this good life with my wife and my son. But I knew I couldn't have it with pornography in my life. I did some intensive outpatient treatments for 3 years, but I struggled so much still during all of the therapy. I couldn't get a handle on it. I had already decided this was like the crowning, like if this doesn't work, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with life. I wanted to just end it all. I couldn't do this to my wife, and I felt like if I took my own life, then she wouldn't have to go through all this with me forever, because I thought it was going to last forever. I see a correlation between the pornography that I viewed and the same-sex attraction. I shifted. It used to be heterosexual porn, and then I shifted slowly to homosexual porn because that became more interesting for me. But this draw towards men eventually led me to sexting other men. That didn't last very long, and I was able to stop before it came any farther, but things got bad. Things got really bad. I spent the last 10 years doing treatment, counseling, almost weekly for the last 10 years. And if I go through all of that and the spiritual aspect with it and nothing's happened, I must truly be defective. But then I'd feel God's love. I'd feel something saying that there is a better way, there is something more, but I didn't know where to find it. And then I found Desert Solace. I didn't know the inpatient addiction rehabs even existed. When we found out about Desert Solace, it was this hope that I had never had before. So my marriage was at stake, my kids, and my life. I had tried killing myself. That was my last option. And then there was Desert Solace. And it opened up a whole nother world for me. But at Desert Solace, it was a different approach. It was the taking accountability for my actions, my life, coming to know who I truly am inside. That's where the healing takes place. It doesn't take place out here in getting rid of the actions. It takes place deep inside. I needed this detox, a time away from the addiction. It was this place that I could go to be safe and work on my other stuff, work on my pain without the distraction of my addiction. To be able to be with people all of the time and know that I'm in a very safe place. A place where they're gonna challenge me, and they challenged me. They definitely challenged me here, but it was in a good way. It took me coming to a realization of why I looked at pornography, or what was the real reason behind it? Where was the pain coming from that I was covering up? It's not about the pornography. It's not about the addiction. It's about the pain that we're covering up. And when you can dive into that pain, go into those caves and into the dark, scary places and step into that with faith, that's where the healing takes place. It took one time stepping in there with one of those horses to realize that I was looking at myself. And yeah, the horse might have its own personality, but they truly mirror you when you're out there. The reason that was powerful, that those horses mirrored me, is because I could see inside myself. I put on this show, I put on this persona of who I was my whole life, and I started to believe it. And those horses taught me that that's not who I really was. The counselors here were spot on. They all take a different approach for the same purpose. Each of them had their own way of taking me into that pain, touching the pain, and then taking me out of it. And not only that, but being able to find ways of coping with it. And I knew I was in a safe place here, that if I went into that pain, I'm gonna struggle. I knew I would. I would have really rough days here. I knew that by stepping into that, and I was in a safe place where I could, that things would be okay, and they were. And to realize that I really am worthy of God's love, worthy of other people's love, worthy of loving myself. I came to realize that I am the cause of my own life. I take responsibility now for everything that's happened. I always thought it was other people doing things to me. I thought it was somebody was hurting me, or somebody's teasing me, or somebody said something to me. It was always other people, and that was my story. But now I'm taking full accountability for my life. It's worth the sacrifice, whatever that means to you, whatever sacrifice that is for you. It's easy to go into the excuses and reasons and why I should or shouldn't. What will happen in your addiction if you stay there? If there's anyone considering coming to Desert Solace, I would tell them, get here now. Like get here yesterday. Because this is what you need to find recovery from your addiction. I haven't seen my kids for 2 months.